There was a time that I didn't have a lot of money to purchase the right art materials. My medium was oil paint, and if you didn't know, oil paints aren't cheap. Sure, some are cheap, but they don't last very long. I've even settled with a student grade brand, even after more than 5 years of graduating, but I still didn't have enough money to purchase the medium I wanted the most. Not only that, canvases aren't cheap too. Either I buy the ones you see on the shelves but are quite flimsy for me, or I buy the ones in the official art stores where it's really expensive and high quality, but that's not going to happen in my case at this particular point in my life. You can even ask fellow artists or art stores to make canvases for you, but it will still cost a pretty penny. I can, however, create my own canvas, and that's the cheapest route for me, since I also create bigger canvases. I buy the wood for the frame and the canvas at art stores and some primer. Take note, I'm the cheap kind of artist, so I buy the not so heavy duty canvas at Divisoria. I use latex paint, not gesso, as my primer, and then for the wood backing, I don't even buy plywood. I just buy the frame and have the canvas floats there. That's how cheap I am. Well, in my defense, that's how I see art being painted back in the day, without plywood, so I thought you didn't need any of that, and to be honest, I was able to create tons of artworks using these materials, and was able to produce a lot of great works by just me creating my own canvas. And if I had that custom made, it will really cost me a ton. I'm not a purist or anything, I'm just really on a tight budget, because in my early days as an exhibiting artist, from 2006-2015, I never really was able to sell any of these paintings that I make on a canvas. It's sad to hear, but I was only ever able to sell a work on canvas more or less than 5 times over 100 oil paintings. That's why I never really was able to sustain myself as an artist. And that is why I was always buying a cheap canvas and oil paints. The only reason I can buy the cheap materials in the first place was because I have always accepted miscellaneous art jobs, like portrait commissions, and if someone needed a mural for their house. But those kinds of jobs were scarce. I consider myself lucky if I had a painting job that month. Hence I also accepted and applied for other jobs too, one of them being a curator and marketing assistant in a diner. I knew the owner's brother from art college, and they were looking for a guy to run the gallery they had at the place. As a man without any money to paint with, I accepted the job, even if the pay I got was laughable. They said they'd bump up my salary after a few months, but that never really happened, and I just decided to quit the job in the end. Although I was able to stay there long enough to discover something, and that made it all worth it. I got the night shift there. The diner was open 24 hours and most of the time in the wee hours of the morning. From 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. we didn't have any customers. But just in case people were looking to eat in those weird hours and they happened to see the gallery, I'd be there and they could talk to me. This only happened once or twice for the entirety that I was there, and we didn't sell any paintings. Now that I think about it, what a weird idea to have a 24-hour gallery opened and manned. We could have just left some brochures now that I think about it. Anyway, when I was there and I just felt that my time was being wasted, no people were coming in, and I felt that I was supposed to be painting, but even if I wanted to, I was stuck there. And then even if I wasn't there, I didn't have a lot of oil paints to paint with, nor canvases I haven't painted over yet. But I still had the artist in me, so I always had an art book with me all the time. We used them for art classes. One of the jobs I did there was we taught basic painting there on the weekends to the kids. One night, out of frustration, I took the art book and started drawing on it. It was a Michelangelo book about his sketches and paintings of the Sistine Chapel. I drew over his sketches and poured myself into the drawing, not caring if people would say I'm ruining the book. I was vandalizing it, and to be honest, I was actually enjoying it. I was drawing. I was making art. The thoughts and ideas I wanted to paint on canvas found themselves on the pages of the Taschen book page. I did it on one page with the red ballpoint pens I had with me. I did my masochism art style. It's an art style I made by painting human figures with their flesh peeled off to symbolize pain. Dark stuff, I know, but it's how I saw the world then. I did the masochism art style on one of the master's sketches. Then did another one on another page, this time Michelangelo's finished murals. After that, I drew over another sketch, and the next thing I know a new world has opened up to me. My newfound outlet and creativity gave me new eyes to see. They gave me the vision to see the potential of every book page one come across. I love books. My family and I collect books. We practically have a whole library at home of novels, cookbooks, comics, coffee table books, and of course art books. And so when I got home, I scoured all my art books to see what other artworks I could paint and draw over with my new style, which I called art or book vandalism. When people saw these collaborations with old masters and me, they liked it. Even the teenage daughter of the owner of the diner saw these artworks of mine and asked, "Why are you ruining the book?" To which I answered her with a question. "Let me ask you this, do you think what I've done here is beautiful or not?" And she said, "It's beautiful." To which I said, "That's it. That's why I'm doing this, because it's still beautiful." And she got it and smiled. I could always get another copy of the book I drew on, but to me, I couldn't forgive myself if I did not draw the vision I see in my head on this page. And if a teenager could recognize the beauty in my vandalism, then I think people could also appreciate them. And appreciate them they did. When I finished about 5 artworks, I did something I haven't done before, posting an original artwork online, and telling everyone it was for sale along with the price on the description. I knew I had something special with me, but I also knew I could fail with this experiment, and no one would buy them, but I had to try it. So what I did was, I made an album on my Facebook account, and posted them all online, along with their prices in the descriptions. And just to give you a little context, at the time, 2013, no one really dared sell their art online, especially artists who exhibit their work in galleries like I did. It felt cheap to do so at the time. It also bypassed the middleman, the galleries, and so who knows what they would think of this art stunt. Sure, you can buy art online on websites that are also owned by the gallery. But for an artist to post their art, with a price for his or her friends and followers to buy as they please, was unheard of at the time. But it had to be done. I had to know. No gallery was knocking on my door anyway, begging for me to do a show. So I felt I needed to do it. And do it I did, and before I knew it, I was able to sell at least 2 artworks. I was really happy I was able to make money off of my art, especially one that was truly me, and not a commissioned portrait piece or for a show with a theme in a gallery. Just a little bit of disclosure, I did my first book vandalism back in 2009, and the time I did the album on Facebook selling my work was in 2013. A lot of things happened in between those years, but I'm telling you this now because sometimes an idea is so good that you have to let it sit for a while, and then you come back to it and see its potential again. To be honest, I never really lost sight of the potential of it, but just got disheartened again when after finishing my 2 book vandalisms, because I wasn't able to sell them in the group show I entered them in. So my immature and self-defeating thinking that my artworks were unsellable was all just me sabotaging my success and self-confidence. I for sure thought no one likes my art because no one buys them, thus I'm a failure, so I stopped painting in that style for at least 4 years. But then when I was again out of money, after a whole lot of unfortunate things happening in my life and a whole lot of excuses, I decided no more excuses. So even without art materials like oil paints yet again, I decided to go back into doing my book vandalisms, posting them online to take a risk, to just take a chance. And as I've said, I was able to sell at least 2 artworks quickly, I think within the hour. I thought then that the art gods have cursed me, but no, it was all just in my head. If you're an artist who's just starting, until the first sale of your very own artwork that's really you, lots of demons will whisper in your ear, endless negative thoughts will mess with your mind. All you need to do is don't listen to them, quiet them down, focus on your art, make more art, and hang in there until you make your first sale. I also thought that people disliked me, that they disliked me so much that they did not buy my artworks. But deep inside I knew they were fucking great artworks. I did not doubt that because I honestly thought that they were badass and so inventive. That I only had to find the sweet spot of how and where I am going to sell my art, because honestly, I knew it wasn't the art that was wrong, it was the timing and maybe even the pricing that I had gone wrong before. Today in 2023, I still create book vandalisms, and they're still a bit dark for everyone to really appreciate and applaud, so they don't sell as much as my other art series Manila Ukiyo-E, which is an art style that sells very well, almost unexpectedly well. My Masochism X book vandalism is very dear to my heart, and I like making them because they're badass and an exercise of creative transformation. They sell too, by the way. I make them, post them online, and forget about them. Then after a while, someone will just message me out of the blue, and ask me if this or that artwork is still available, and then they purchase 1 or 2 paintings of it. In 2022 my wife and I had our first 2-man show, and I made all of my works in this style, but now I was vandalizing magazine pages, photos of beautiful women like models and celebrities of today. It's me exposing their inner anatomy, revealing their resilient true form. The show was called Inner Beauty, and it was presented by Art Plus magazine as their first series to be sold on their online shop. We've come full circle, haven't we? Me selling my artwork on Facebook at a time when no one was doing it, and after a decade, we're being asked by Art Plus magazine to have our artwork shown on their online platform, and guess what? It's still my book vandalism art style, breaking barriers and vandalizing book pages, all in the name of beauty and art. Now imagine, if because I didn't have art materials to paint in the medium I wanted, I instead stopped making art altogether. Imagine if had I quit making paintings just because I didn't have a canvas anymore. A lot of us when we come across a roadblock, we stop and turn back so easily that we never get to where we want to go. But life is full of roadblocks, pitfalls and failures and trials and errors and bad relationships and breakups and lousy paying jobs, and unfair bosses. In fact, life is most of the time unfair, but what I've told you it's just a matter of perspective. That you can always find a way. As artists, God has given us the power to problem solve like no other. If there's a gap between the place where we are and where we want to go to, we can build a bridge to cross where there was only thin air before. If there's a deadline, we can think of a new way to create things faster and meet that impossible time limit, and make it possible even with flying colors. We can all solve our problems with creativity, and we as artists do even more so because we can come up with just about anything from anything. We can work the problem, and the only thing that can actually stop us is if we're not using our creativity well enough, and we just decide to give up because we find the challenge too hard. Have you ever heard of someone who complained a lot no matter the situation? Or an artist who doesn't paint or make art because he says he has no materials? Or nobody understands him? Or everyone's trying to get back at him? And yet when you give this very artist an invite to exhibit their work or give them free art materials for their painting, and even let them be a part of a group that actually believes in them and likes them for who they are, you'd still get a slew of reasons and excuses coming out of that person, stating that the deadline is too close, or they don't like the theme, or they aren't inspired right now, or it has been a long time since they've exhibited something that their work might look like shit compared to others. Blah 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 blah. And I bet you, even if you solve those problems, he or she has new ones ready to complain about. These artists are not artists, they're excuse makers, they are cowards. Just make art, man. If they're real artists, they wouldn't complain about this and that, they would find a way. They would use their creativity to make art, even if they don't have the money to buy painting materials. Why not use instant coffee to paint on paper? Why not use rocks you find on the streets or bottle caps or newspapers to do a mixed media? Why not burn wood to create your very own charcoal? Other artists complain that they don't have a studio or the space to make art. Go to the park or the food court. My friend, heck, just sit the fuck down and draw. Others complain no one wants to accept their work at a gallery. But to that, I say, maybe you should improve your work first, or at least ask them why it didn't work for them. Maybe they have a point, and you can still improve. Or post them on Facebook. That's a well too that you can curate yourself like you have your own gallery. As artists, we have to learn to make art and not make excuses. After all, artists are known for creating something out of nothing. The things we should be more focused on are solutions. Of how we can come up with an answer to the art problem we're facing. That's the role of a creative, to create and not to complain. The point is, you can make excuses all you want, and you won't run out of them. There are more excuses than there are stars in the universe. And that goes the same in making art. For it too, the possibilities are endless.